Hello, and welcome to Physician Spotlight, which is an open forum to learn more about the outstanding senior leaders, young rising stars, and international colleagues in the field of nutrition, and to discuss important topics and ideas. And with the help of ASPEN, we are bringing you these videos today. I am your host, Lindsay Russell, and it's my absolute pleasure to introduce our guest today, Dr. Matt Bechtold. Dr. Bechtold is a gastroenterologist and a professor of medicine within the University of Missouri. He is an accomplished researcher in the field of interventional nutrition and enteral access specifically, is well recognized at a national level in a variety of societies, and an avid member of the ASPEN community, and is the leading of the enteral committee as well. In addition, there's a fun fact that he was actually part of the physician engagement community and was running the Physician Spotlight back in 2019. So this is really full circle, and we're so happy to have you here today, Dr. Bechtold.
Thank you so much, Dr. Russell. I appreciate the time.
Yes, great. So I'm just going to dive right in, and I really would love to hear about your journey towards a career that involves nutrition. To my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, that you were a gastroenterologist before and then decided to pursue further training in nutrition fellowship. So we would love to hear about your journey.
All right. I'll be happy to tell you my long journey. It's been a while. I'm getting old, so I might not remember all the details, but I think that it all started when I was a gastroenterology fellow at the University of Missouri. I had a fascination with nutrition as it relates to enteral access and feeding after PEG placements and so on and so forth. So I got interested in it, but I really was busy my first 5 years of being a faculty member. And then I came across this great opportunity with the Nestlé Nutrition Institute with Steve McClave and Robert Martindale. And I was lucky enough to get a spot, and I did the very quick nutrition fellowship with the Nestle Nutrition Institute, and just was hooked on nutrition at that point forward. That was way back in 2013. That's almost a decade ago. Look at that. And I think that at that point was when I really got introduced to ASPEN and all the things that ASPEN can offer me in my profession. So I was a mid-level already faculty, already an associate professor when I did my fellowship in nutrition, and got involved with ASPEN, did a lot with the committees in ASPEN, including the planning committee, where I was eventually chair, but I was the chair of the planning committee when we had our Denver conference, which was COVID canceled. So that was our telemedicine conference, our first one. So that was a little challenging. And then I went on to be on the enteral nutrition committee and some other committees. So it's just fascinating. Nutrition's always fascinated me, and I love the field and I love the people involved. And if I had to go back, I wouldn't do it any other way.
Well, that's wonderful. And I think it really speaks to, even as a mid-career or late career, you found the light of nutrition. And I think it's great that those opportunities are out there for, physicians at different stages of their career. So that's great to hear. And as mentioned, you really highlighted yourself that, ASPEN was a catalyst in your aspect of your career and with committee involvement. I'm wondering if you can comment how, that has really helped foster your career, created connections, and how any advice that you have for physicians that are listening now on ways to get involved in ASPEN and kind of the opportunities that are there for them that you kind of touched on.
Yeah, that's absolute great question. I think with being in the nutrition fellowship, I got to know quite a few of the docs in nutrition, but we're talking maybe 8 to 10 of the many, right? So I didn't really know everybody. But then when I got involved with ASPEN, and the docs would all meet together and we go hang out together and talk about cases together. It was a great opportunity to network when you're with ASPEN. And if you get in there and you join the committees, not only do you know the physicians in the committee, but you get to know everybody. Mm-hmm. And it's great. It's an opportunity to get to know people around the country. And it is so valuable to have that network, because now I have a question. I could text Lisa Epp at Mayo, or Ryan at Mayo, or Mundi at Mayo, and I could talk to different people around the country, Steve or Robert, and get an answer to my question. So it's a great professional opportunities. And I would really recommend young physicians, if you're interested, And going into Aspen to make those connections, it's the committees, volunteer for the committees and pick something that you like, something that you have an interest in, and participate and get to know everybody, because it's a wonderful group of people.
Yeah, I think that's really great to highlight. And I like that you kind of have your favorites or, call list to go down with the challenging cases. And I think it truly highlights in nutrition as well, is that, you're always learning. There always will be things that come up that are a little bit more challenging, and it's helpful to create that community. You touched a little bit on about your interest in, enteral feeding and enteral access. Can you comment on, you're quite accomplished as well for research and balancing things with clinical care and your committee work. Any advice or comments that you can have in regards to your research interest and how to balance that with, our audience?
How to balance work-life balance with research. As you know, that's tough. That's a real tough concept. I always tell my boss that I'm 100% clinical and 40% everything else. So it's much of a challenge for me as anybody else. You have to get a good group of people to work with, that everybody pulls their weight and helps out and gets those papers done. In 2008, I did a meta-analysis. So that's kind of a lot of what I do is biostatistics. And I did a meta-analysis on feeding early after percutaneous endoscopic gastrostomies. And we saw that, if you feed it early, less than 4 hours, there's no difference than waiting till the next day. So that was my first big kind of nutrition research. And since then, it's kind of ballooned, especially with the research mentorship of Steve McClave and Robert Martindale and Ryan Hurt and Keith Miller and all those great people that really help push that research and work together as a network and group to really give us a better understanding of what nutrition is at this point. So try your best, get a network, get some mentors that can help you, guide you through the process. There's nothing more frustrating as a young researcher than to have a good project in mind, but you just don't know how to get started, or you don't know how to do the stats, and you get all flustered and you don't know who to ask. And I don't want that frustration, from young researchers. I want to foster that. So if you have any questions about that, I'm afraid to put this on here, but please let me know. I can always try to help you with some of the stats if you need to try to work you through it on your research projects to get them off the ground. But definitely have good mentors.
Yeah, I think that it truly highlights, like, I circle that as well. You have a great idea and you're not quite sure to start. And I think, being involved in the community of Aspen or other mentors that you can get in touch with, and it's been done before, it could be done again. Everyone goes through their journey in their career. I also have known that, with the COVID pandemic as well, we had to really shift our enteral care and access. So I think that, reading your recent work on that has been really, really quite rewarding and interesting. How has that pandemic kind of changed with your committee work or even clinical practice?
Well, I learned how to use Zoom very, very well. So I mean, that's the big thing. I mean, it's just a matter of everything went everything, telehealth, telemeetings, tele-research coordination. But it really, we got together more often because we didn't have to meet in person, especially if we're spread all around the country, so you get to have these meetings where you can talk to one another and really foster that relationship. So I think that was the biggest thing. And, you just don't see anybody in person as much, but now we're kind of coming out of it. So I look very forward to ASPEN 2023 in a few weeks. I'm pretty excited. It's one of my favorite meetings. It always has been. Just a good group of people coming together, sharing ideas, sharing research, and just helping each other out. The other thing I wanted to add is, the Physician Engagement Committee. I was on this committee back when it originated with Steve McClave, and I think that it's a fantastic opportunity for physicians to be on this committee and to help network through this committee, because I haven't met anybody that hasn't been overly helpful with any subject that I asked. So I think that's a fascinating start for young physicians, especially trying to break in and do some research in nutrition.
Yes, yeah, I think that's so great. And it's so exciting that Aspen will be in person. And, to have passion for nutrition, there's some of us in the field for sure, but it's great that we're all kind of in one room excitedly talking about the topics. So it's very exciting for sure. So that's great. It's really, we learned about your journey and your interests. And I guess my last kind of question to close out is, would you have any words of wisdom? I know we kind of had some tidbits throughout your other answers, but any other advice that you generally would give other healthcare providers or researchers in the field of nutrition specifically?
Well, as you said before, it doesn't matter what stage of career you're at. If you're coming out of fellowship or you're in a fellowship or a residency and you're interested in nutrition, you can always apply for some of these nutrition fellowships. You could, if you're mid-level, you can apply, but your ASPEN's available for all. Okay, so that's a good way to get involved. And like you said, with ASPEN, they're great about, you can volunteer for a committee, they get you on committees, and they're great about working as a team with you. So that's kind of where I would go. I always wanted to thank ASPEN for all the opportunities they gave me. I greatly appreciate it. And it just getting involved, spend some of your time with the folks and volunteer on some of these committees.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. I think it's great to hear whatever the great leaders in nutrition, and to hear your journey and just really highlight on the benefits of committee work, involvement in societies. I know you're involved in other societies as well, but I think that's great to get really a good perspective of your journey in nutrition. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope everyone in the audience learned a little tidbit. We'll go to ASPEN and get involved. So thank you everyone for joining us today.
Hope to see you.
Yeah, see you.
See you.